Methodist Church, and his motto was said to be, "Do all the good you can by all the means you can to all the people you can as long as you ever can." He would have been a great Rotarian. It's good for us today to remember Sir John Reid, his wonderful contribution to our club, which enables us to look forward to hearing about the community welfare work being carried out by Emma, our 2023 awardee. I thought I should say something about Sir John's daughter being here, Margaret Ross, and it's really wonderful that these things continue for so long and we can show appreciation for so long. Can we also give thanks for each one of our club members in leadership positions, which enables us to contribute, as we are best able, to the well-being of those in our own community and further afield. As always, we give thanks for good food and for our fellowship together.
Rotarians and guests, a toast to Australia and Rotary International. Australia and Rotary International. Members, visitors and guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 22nd meeting of this Rotary year, our 5013th meeting in our 103rd year, and our annual Sir John Reid Community Service Award Day. It's wonderful to see you all here today, including those attending online. We're delighted to have several important friends and guests here today, to have our guest speaker, Emma Soloai, and our 2023-24 Community Service Award recipient. Emma will be more fully introduced later in the program by our chair of the day, Philip Cornish. Accompanying Emma are her children, Jay Soloal and Karamia Soloal Skelton. There we are, welcome. Would you please join me in acknowledging and making Emma and her guests welcome. Thank you. We're delighted to have here today as our guest past awardee Emily Shepherd from Usher Kids. Emily received her award during the COVID lockdown period and spoke to the club via Zoom. Remember those days? We prefer to forget. Of course, we were very pleased with Emily's presentation as well. Wonderful to have you here, Emily, and your guest, Jackie O'Donoghue from Rotary Club of Southbank. Also with us today, we have family of our esteemed past president, Sir John Reid, the daughter, Margaret Ross, and granddaughter, Kay Mackenzie, and of course, son-in-law, our own Ian Ross. Representing the John T. Reid Charitable Trust, we have trustee Philip Endersby. Would you please join me in acknowledging and making all these club guests welcome? Thank you. Also, as guests of the club and hosted by our East Timor Committee, we have Bill and Anne Rolfe and Bruce Parker. Past President Bob Glindeman will be updating us shortly on the reason for their visit. In the meantime, would you please acknowledge and make them welcome? Thank you. We have visiting Rotarians, visitors and guests of the club. Visiting Rotarians, Irina Bayer, Rotary Club Canterbury, Ross Close, Rotary Club Mount Waverley, Anne Grant and Malcolm Close, also from Rotary Club Mount Waverley, Jackie O'Donoghue from Rotary Club Southbank. Guests of Rotarians, we have Zainab Kaya, guest and mother of our member, Bharat Kaya, welcome. In fact, have we ever had a mother and son membership? Maybe there's a potential member here. Harvey Cohen, guest of Irene Bayer. And of course, we have a number of the other individuals we've mentioned earlier. So please join me in welcoming our guests as well. Okey-dokey. Now I ask past President Bob Glindeman to come to the podium for a special presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, President Chris. As many of you will know, this club has been involved with activities in East Timor for a long, long while. And one of those activities was the establishment of East Timor Roofing. East Timor Roofing was a vital piece of infrastructure that was erected in Bacau. And one of the organisations that had a tremendous amount to do with us during that time was the Don Bosco organisation, the Salesian Brothers. It's a magnificent organisation in Timor. They run 64 schools across the country, and important part of their operation is the technical training colleges that they run. They've got a number of them there, and they're teaching the kids in all of the basic requirements for building, as well as automotive, as well as computing. And we've supplied a tremendous number of desks and chairs to them through donations in kind. I think 3 full containers have gone up there. But we got a phone call from Brother Adriano a little while ago. He said, next container of desks and chairs you send up, will you send me a couple of engines? Adriano, what do you mean? Well, I want to train some of these kids in proper automotive activity with engines. Now, I can't provide engines. I don't know whether we don't have them at DIK. So I rang our fellow director on East Timor Roofing, Bruce Parker, who is heavily involved in the automotive business in all sorts of different ways. I said, Bruce, we've got a request for the Don Bosco people. They want a couple of used car engines to train their kids on. Can you handle it? Oh, I think so. I didn't hear a word from Bruce because he was obviously out chasing down these used engines. And a little while later, he rang me and he said, I've made contact with a mate of mine who's in this business. He said, and he's going to send up a number of new Ford engines, complete. Can you send them up through DIK? I said, I'm sure we can. Bill Rolfe, Bill, would you like to come and join me? Is the proprietor of an organisation that's been in business this year for 50 years, working on transmissions, automotive engines and the like. Bill didn't give us a couple of engines. We got 10 new, brand new Ford engines complete. Now, we're not worried. We're worried a little bit about where these engines might end up. We might have some supercharged, little Toyotas or something up there with these Ford engines. But Bill and his lovely wife, Anne, generously donated these engines to us. You can see from the little video, there's no sound. These are the kids that are going to be trained on these engines. And Bill, we got a little presentation from Adriano. It says, on behalf of the students of Don Bosco Training Centre, Dili Comoro, we would like to express our sincere gratitudes and thanks for kind donation to our school. Your generosity has made a big difference to our students of Don Bosco Training Centre, Comoro. We are all optimistic that through these courses, these young people will receive professional competence and skill adequate to the industries or their own private businesses, at the same time, integral formation that will allow them to face their future with dignity and be personally involved in the building of our new country. May the good Lord reward you for your great generosity. Sincerely yours, Brother Adriano. Bill, congratulations.
Few words. Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Bruce Parker for giving me the opportunity to work with your club to supply these engines. It's our pleasure because I've always been involved in training in all my business life where we can help and train people for the future because they are our future. And I'd like to thank the club and Bruce for all his effort. Thank you.
Well done, Bill.
Thank you. Well done. Now to some notices. We have some birthday news. Best wishes to David Danoon and Richard Parker, both celebrating their birthdays today. Also, congratulations to our chairman today, Philip Cornish, who is a freshly minted grandpa, as of 4:30 p.m. yesterday. Well done. After a long and difficult delivery, little Marcalo arrived to Philip's daughter. He's currently in NICU, but he's looking good, and I'm sure will be out and about shortly. Congratulations, Philip, to you and Debbie on joining the Grandparent Brigade, and to your daughter and son-in-law, we wish you all the very best. Additional item, next week is our end-of-year evening meeting to be held at the Imperial Hotel in Bourke Street. It'll be a fun and social night. Our final meeting of the year, the lunch meeting, is a fortnight from now on 13th December, and we encourage you to all to bring your partner or friend as we celebrate 2023 with a festive lunch and entertainment organised by our maestro, David Cram. Now, Christmas appeal. So this year, we're looking to raise funds for the professionals with Alzheimer's. Now, we know that organisation because Kathy Roth, its chair, received in 2021 the Seniors Award, and I'm astounded at the number of people in our society that are coming up with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, a matter which a generation ago was unheard of. So we're looking to raise some money with that. Now, in addition, strategically, what we're doing with the professionals with Alzheimer's is that they're going to form part of our collective mental health initiatives, which Nina Hunter will spearhead through our SRAG, which will be set up in due course. So we're looking to have a collection of strength in the mental health space. We know that's a key objective of our RI president, also our district governor, and we have lots of support in that space. So I think it's great to be able to help Kathy Roth with the professionals with Alzheimer's. So bring your checkbooks, loose change, even foreign currency, I think, will be accepted. Last, before I draw the raffle, I spoke with our beloved member Peter Hollingworth yesterday afternoon. Every time I call him, he's got a number of young professional ladies around him, prodding him, checking him. He's in good spirits. He's recovering well. He should be out in a couple of weeks. He sends his best wishes to all of us, and even good health to us, even though we obviously have reciprocated that to him. So that's just a note to say that he's doing well. And now I'm passing it on to our chair of the day, Philip Cornish, to come to the podium and take over today's meeting.
This has to be one of the best days that we have in the club each year, I think, honouring someone who's given a particular community service. And I'd like to acknowledge the Reid family again for their generosity in helping with the establishment of the trust, which allows us not only to have a plaque, which you can put up on the wall, Emma, or maybe in the front of the house, so everyone can see, but also a cheque of $15,000 will go to the nominated charity of Emma's choice. As we said earlier, Sir John Reid, or Jock Reid, as I think he was better known within the club, was a past president. He was a well-known industrialist, but also a great philanthropist. He had wide variety of interests, and I think I can remember Margaret, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, saying he also was interested in compost in great detail, and I think was a member of a compost association or something, or yes. So, but gardening is something that's very important, and Emma may talk about that. So, Emma is someone who I would describe in short, volunteers 7 days a week and then finds opportunities to do informal gathering of people in the communities. I've kept the citation to 200 words. Emma is a person of outstanding record of service. Her job in community services and volunteering, I think, can be truly called a vocation. She has been one of those people who has volunteered since primary school. Before working with a full client load at Community Gardens, Emma teaches teenagers in Bible class from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Good luck with that. She coaches a teenage basketball team, and on Saturday morning she goes down to Hosier Lane to engage with the disengaged youth and cook for them. She mentors some children on a one-to-one basis and can be found in parks working with young people through games such as basketball and Samoan cricket, which I've got to say, I hope our MCC members can get going at the G. Does she take Sundays off? No, she teaches again. She uses her background to help Pacifica families and non-English speaking speakers. She is a great believer in what I would call the ministry of hugs. It is no wonder she has been called Auntie by so many people. She wants people to believe that they all have a home and a community to which they belong. She is very humble and somewhat surprised at this recognition. She is a worthy recipient of the Sir John Reid Award and still hasn't owned up to her employer that she's the recipient of this award. And her children assure me that she will have no trouble in speaking the required time. But I would like to call Emily up to the podium along with Philip Embassy as a representative of the Trust and President Chris to make the presentation to Emily before we hear her talk. So Emily, it's our honour to get a presentation here. So this is the citation, which is very much in hard copy today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
President Chris, the plaque. So Emily, it's now time for you to perform. Got to sing for your supper. So, yeah, yes, we've been having lots of wonderful chats. So I know we're all going to enjoy this, Emma. And
I would like to thank the Rotary Club of Melbourne and feel honoured and humbled to have been selected to receive the Sir John Reid Award. I had to check with Barat and Philip if this was a legitimate email, notifying me I had won the award. They both got back to me and said, "Congratulations, it's you." But I am truly humbled to be here today. I even had to check with Jo when she emailed me that it was 20 minutes that I'd be talking. I said, "Is that a typo error? Because I'm pretty sure I've only got 2 minutes ready." But that's the joy of being able to share your story. And I believe that's why I'm here today. So where do I begin my journey of volunteering in community, or what I call serving others? My love for people started at a very young age, evolving from my upbringing in a collective community. I grew up with the neighbourhood kids as my family, not the neighbourhood kids. We shared everything from food to bikes to jobs to celebrations. I knew I wanted to help out in community because I came from a non-English speaking background with parents who migrated with no English from a small island country in the central South Pacific Ocean called Samoa. Samoa sits halfway between New Zealand and Hawaii. I first started volunteering at my local primary school. It was my job to help with the performing arts group, where we were the musicians, prop makers, costume sewers, refreshments crew. My job always had to do with food. When I reached being a teenager, I got the lead in the local school musical and would teach the other young'uns to dance, sing and act so we could showcase our talents in front of family, friends and community. Now as an adult, my strengths lie in advocacy. I would run basketball clinics in community to develop young people's confidence, health and well-being, one-on-one mentoring with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and Pacifica youth, and teaching parents from non-English speaking background. I volunteer in the local community, in church groups, service groups, wherever I'm needed, from cooking and serving, in soup kitchens on the weekends to running after hours basketball clinics in partnership with the local police to keep the young people out of trouble, off the streets, have a barbecue in the park and somewhere safe to hang out. One young Aboriginal fella that I worked with here in Melbourne wasn't engaging in his employment consultant, and they gave me a ring asking for my help. After a little bit of background information was shared, they shared he liked to play basketball. Hair was the common connector. Now behind Banksia Gardens is a half court, and near where he lived was also a half court. Once a week we would shoot some hoops, and yes, he would always beat me, but I let him. But with every catch up, he started to open up about his dream. His dream was to be back on country with his mob from Northern Territory. Fast track a few months later, and after much encouragement, he gave me a call. He's fulfilling his dream now as a bush ranger back on country in Northern Territory. Another story that I wanted to share was as we are nearing Christmas, it reminded me of an experience where I helped organize a group of Pacifica young adults to travel into Melbourne to the living room run by youth projects. We would cook lunch for the homeless, and these young people benefited just as much as those receiving their lunch. We hugged, we cried, we sang and we danced together that day. I teach the young people in church and their parents just to help them navigate coming into a new country, especially when they've come from their motherland. Australia has now become a new land of opportunity. Having worked in community services sector for over 20 years, I've volunteered in many low socioeconomic regions in Brisbane, Queensland, Gascoyne Junction, Carnarvon, West Australia, within remote Aboriginal communities, and here in my home region of Hume. I'm always intent on passing on the baton, meaning to share my knowledge and to lead by example, so young people understand volunteering can bridge the gap, whatever that gap may be. I was telling the young lads at my table a story about when we used to play cricket, and I understand we've got a few cricketers in the room. So the thing with Samoan cricket, we don't have a flat bat. We actually have a bat that is the length of my arm, and it's a triangular bat. And the reason why it's so long and it's that shape is it's a technique that allows you to hit the ball further. And I think you only have about 11 people on the field. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in our game, we have 20 people on the field. So in Samoa itself, each village has a cricket team. We call it kelikiki. In English, it's cricket. So for everyone that's on the team, the minute you get someone out, You don't cheer them off. You have to start singing and dancing, and everybody cheers for that person because they got them out. But it brings the unity in the villages because you're playing against each other. So it was fun when Philip mentioned we should get it to the MCG. So that will be one of my aspirations to work towards. And Philip will be the first batter. Another thing that we love to do as a community is share food. As I mentioned earlier, I was always in the kitchen. So when we had catering events, it was no problem for me to be in the kitchen with these big pots. And to this day, you can ask my children, I don't know how to cook small. My pot has stayed as big as them growing up. And I've always had this feeling that if anyone walks through the door, I'm ready to feed them. They're always welcome. So I'm grateful that we have an organization like the Rotary Club. I feel you bring together people, their interests, their passions, and I feel honored that I'm here today. I've never been one to be in the spotlight or sit up front on main tables. I'm used to being in the kitchen. So today I feel really humbled and honored to be amongst such an elite group. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for acknowledging my work and community. I was telling our young fella here, Chris, that my aspiration is to build an Indigenous garden. And in this Indigenous garden, I want to showcase how to grow Indigenous medicinal plants so that we can keep our children interested in knowing what it is to grow Indigenous plants in Australia. But not just that. I wanted to build a little whale. It's shaped like our houses in the island. And what it is, it has all these beams and no doors. And the reason behind these different pillars is so that somebody of a chiefly title sits on this pillar. And everyone gets to come to this little whale, and everyone will get to be a chief, regardless of color, race, religion. That's my aspiration, is to build this whale and this Indigenous garden so there's an infusion of culture as well, so that everyone's welcome. And food will always be the key connector. If you meet an islander, talk about food. You'll got them straight away. And don't be surprised if they try to take you home and feed you, because we didn't get these bodies by eating chicken salad. So it's important that we all understand that culturally we're all the same. It doesn't matter whether we're green, red, brindle, chocolate brown, we're all the same. We're all God's children. And I think it's important that when you serve people, you serve with your heart, with no intent to receive back. And that's what keeps me passionate about what I do. I watched my parents as farmers come from the islands, and slowly, by the time I was 16, I actually got my mum to come to my first parent-teacher interview because she learned English by then. But in the meantime, my dad continued to work in different jobs, and then slowly, I saw him have his own business. And that inspired me to keep helping where I could. He taught me how to pour concrete, how to do small things like sand floors. So wherever there was a community building being made in where I was living, I would get up there and get out whatever tool I needed to smooth over, and everyone would go, "How do you know?" Thanking my parents always for that labor of love that they showed us as well. I'm waiting for Philip to give me the time. But in conclusion, I have a quote from Mother Teresa. She said, Never worry about numbers. Help one person at a time and always start with the person nearest you. Whilst I think my small contribution is not being noticed, I feel that contribution will lead to strengthened numbers over time. Thank you, Rotary Club Melbourne.
Emma, you have to stay up here and answer questions. So one of the conditions of the awarding of the Sir John Reid Award is it's a person who hasn't been recognised previously. And that's one of the things we seek out are people who don't have Australia Day honours or awards, etc. And you can see from Emma, it's really hard to get out from her from the kitchen or doing the floors or playing the cricket in the parks to get that acknowledgement. So that's very important. Emma, I'm going to start off with questions if I might. And I'm going to ask you a difficult question because I've worked with different communities over time. Do you think the media portray the Pacifica youth community in a fair way in Melbourne?
Honest opinion, media has a way of always fixating on the negative. I think it's important once you get to know the communities that you live with, there's always a back end story. And because I understand where these young people are coming from, you look at where they are now and you'll understand that there's a lot of hurt. There's trauma involved with every community. So this to me is in essence why they manifest and play up the way they do. But to believe everything that's on social media, I think we're smart enough to know the answer.
All right. So, yes, Phil.
No, I'm just wondering if someone's got a question.
Have we got another question from the floor? Phil's got a microphone there. So just repeating the cricket,
I'm really loud.
did Robbie Louis Stevenson bring the wonderful game of 22-person cricket to Samoa?
It was actually bought by the missionaries. They are the ones that introduced the sport there. Robbie Louis Stevenson, he's renownedly known in the islands for the stories that he tells about our people and the truths that he allows people to understand.
We got any other questions or comments? Please shout. I might take a... Oh, here we are. David, you've got a question? Where's the microphone?
I saw him coming.
Thank you very much.
You might need to repeat the question.
There's a guy called Eddie Mudio-Maseali, someone. He's a singer. And we did a project with Mums for Youth Justice Centre with Eddie. And he said that the young people there, the Samoans, they appreciated his being there because he was like an elder. I was wondering, looking at today's society, whether our Western society has lost the respect for the elder and whether they need to regain the respect for elders.
I agree with you, David. When our kids have moved over from Samoa, their parents come first and they keep the traditional culture within their family homes. And these children that are born in Australia, they have a dual cap in order to cope with what they're coming towards. There's definitely a drop-off in cultural understanding, and it's only because of the influences of society. Before we had mobile phones, we actually conversed with each other. So how many times have you gone out in public and everyone's heads are here, whereas everyone's heads should be at each other? This is what I feel needs to return back to the homes and back to these young people, not just Pacific Islanders, but all young people. Because as our fellow Rotarians said earlier, they are the rising generation. And the values that need to be returned to them will allow us to have a society, a better chance of a society going forward. So I appreciate the question. Thank you, David.
Yes, another Rich. Just repeat the question.
Challenge for me. Emma, thank you for marvellous presentation. And you don't know your own. I wanted to ask, what's the most challenging, what's the biggest challenge facing Pacific Island young people like Australia?
I love the honesty in the room, and I'll reciprocate the honesty. With our young people, because of our stature, we are seen or labelled as intimidating beings. But when you talk to our young people and you understand them, they just want to be seen as young people, not because of their size. I always teach our young people, you're more than rugby league. You're more than rugby union. I call this land a land of opportunity, which is why our parents came. These small islands can't cater for everything that needs to be happening with the next generation. So we migrate to wonderful places like Australia, where we can expand our knowledge, introduce our culture, the importance and the values of family, which is what I believe in. Everything that you create within your home will resonate in these young people. See them first. It's not their physical being that you will see, but the heart that they love to serve other people. I know, because I've got that stature. No. But I appreciate the honesty, and I'm really grateful that I have this opportunity to speak about my people who I'm truly proud of. And this is the kind of club that I would love to see more of my people join into, because I know globally Rotary is well known for their contribution to society, and I want our people to be a part of this. And I better stop, because I'm pretty sure that's 25 now.
That's right. Well, I think you can see that Emma speaks from a very, very, very big heart. What she hasn't done, and I was tempted to ask her, was give a demonstration of Samoan dancing. But I won't do that. So, and I'm surprised your children didn't take the opportunity to ask questions, because they could have asked you anything here in public and you would have been obliged to at least answer it civilly. So, yeah. Anyway, I think we can all appreciate that we've seen a wonderful storyteller with a great story and a lovely community. I'm sure the Rotary Club of Melbourne would be happy to step up and help with some of those little projects as well. So I'd like you to join with us again and thank Emma for her work in the community more than anything, but for at least taking her time out to share her story with us today. And I think we've been greatly honoured by your presence. Thank you. All right, so I just need to thank some people here. Thank the family, the Ross family again, for seeing you. It's always great every year, and we've seen you twice within a month, I think. So we've been very blessed. Our MC, Philip Embusby, and for their reflection, Ross, Scholes, Robertson. It was nice to start with John Wesley and finish with Mother Teresa. It was a terrific multi-denominational thing and have the Don Bosco people in between, so that was great. And I'd like to thank our lunch setup and reception team for your efforts, and if you could stay back a few minutes and assist with packing up, except for you, Emma, it's not you. A reminder that next week we meet in the evening, which is the final evening meeting of the year in 2023. My goodness, hasn't the year disappeared somewhere? And as mentioned by President Chris, could I reiterate that we have a special festive dinner at the Imperial Hotel as our last meeting of the year, and I'd like to encourage you to join us for a fun and social night.